Hello, welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name is Deana with Impressive Warrior. Thanks so much for joining. Today, at the time of this broadcast, we are under the Lionsgate portal. So this is when the alignment of our sun and the dog star Sirius B are in alignment in a specific way. Go ahead and look into that yourself if you're interested. There's a lot of very incredible activations happening at this time, where because of the influence of different planetary cosmic influencers coming into triggers with certain other aspects and into beneficial alignment with other elements in the cosmos, that there's an opportunity to shift and flow in a different way. So let's see what we have for the cards today. We've got the Tao Te Ching messages, 3 coming out and 1 under the deck. We'll read them here, 111 on the timer. I love those synchronicities. Number 56 is first. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth, block off your senses, blunt your sharpness, untie your knots, soften your glare, settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. It can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honored or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That is why it endures. Yes. The more that we need to be validated from external, the more we find that we need that wisdom. We need to talk. We need to have ideas and ideals about things. And then that gives rise to judgment. And I was thinking before starting this broadcast about somebody I was having a conversation with recently, talking about they wanted to put in for a certain promotion, but that they had all of these negatives that would prevent them from it. But it would be great because on paper they had the education and everything else, but they had this history that shows up on paper. Well, the Tao doesn't care about that. The Tao says that darkness, with going through great suffering, we have the potential to harness great healing potential. With having great darkness, we have the potential for more light. So don't block yourself in self-judgment. Don't glare at yourself and you won't glare at the world. Number 20. Yes, we've gotten this one a few times as well. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless. Like an infant before it can smile, other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about, like someone without a home. I am like an idiot. My mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharper. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I'm different from ordinary people. I drink from the great mother's breast. Valuing what others value and avoiding what others avoid. Don't imagine that the morals or misgivings that one person might hold about you, that you should limit yourself based on those limitations. Your past is in the past. You're not that person anymore. You don't live there anymore. 72. When they lose their sense of awe, people turn to religion. When they no longer trust themselves, they begin to depend upon authority. Therefore, the master steps back so that people won't be confused. He teaches without a teaching so that people will have nothing to learn. Yeah, I told that individual after they were somewhat completed, it seemed, in itemizing every reason why they would be not taken seriously for this opportunity. I boldly said, you should definitely try out for that. It sounds like you're perfect for it, and it would be amazing. And the thought behind it for me is that if you don't think that you would be the one there that they would take seriously, then what do you have to lose for just trying? Because your expectation is that you won't get it anyways, but your heart wants it. So why not just try? Number 7, the Tao is eternal, infinite. Why is it eternal? It was never born. Thus, it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself. Thus, it is present for all beings. The master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She's detached from all things. That's why she's one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. And I keep being reminded of this circumstance that I'm discussing with you guys. It's that as soon as I started talking about it, I about lost it. Oh, it's the element of the promotion, the opportunity was to help other individuals. And this was because of this individual's path and suffering and recovery process is what this individual is called to help other individuals to traverse through that recovery process themselves. And why would somebody who actually understood energy and healing, why would anybody choose a guru or a leader for those people who had no frame of reference of really what it's like? I mean, they may have encountered recovery in other individuals, but if they haven't walked the walk, then how can they talk? Because all they are is a big windbag. Those who know don't talk, and those who talk don't know. It's like this individual is the perfect one to help these individuals go through it because they're not missing a beat. They weren't just educated on what to say. They know what it felt like to be judged, to judge the self, to look every day in the mirror at that man in the mirror, and still every day have trouble looking beyond what they're afraid that others will see. So let's see what we've got. It looks like we're doing the code cards first today, and then we'll come in with the shamanic decks. So Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle deck for the Lionsgate energies. All right, first card's coming out. Interesting. Ooh, I love it. Okay, under the deck we have Sacral Chakra number 2, a sense of self-worth, a sense of enjoyment and sensual delight, being delighted by your senses and your sensitivities, versus that fear and guilt. Guilt and shame are the low vibrational energies that block our forward process and our ability to believe in ourselves, that we deserve it, that it's our due, and that others would be benefited from what we have to contribute, and that others will take us seriously for those opportunities. The frequency of the sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates our creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives. And then we get these 3 code cards coming out together. I saw authority first, which reminded me of that card right down here. How did it say that when they no longer trust themselves, they begin to depend upon authority. So if you no longer trust yourself to be the right person for the opportunity, even though it's staring you in the face, even though your heart and soul are yearning for this opportunity to benefit others. It's like you don't even want anything out of it for yourself. I mean, just what you deserve out of it, you know, your equal reciprocity. But the reason, the compelling urge to engage in this is for the benefit of others or for something larger than yourself. So authority, synergy, and miracle. So there's a miracle here that can be tapped into by working with others and working through our own issues with others, being that catalyst for change that somebody else may desperately need. And the longer that we feel judged and shamed, then we don't actually put that healing part of our beingness out there. And I'll take a quick moment to give you guys just a little bit of the astrology. I did notice at the time of the Lionsgate broadcast today, we have the sun is, I just looked up at 11:11. We have the sun at 15 degrees 28 of Leo, approximately right now. And this is in trine, which is easy, flowing, can sometimes take on a life of its own if we're not paying attention, for better or worse. If there's challenging connections with that trine, then we can become indulgent or aggravated and frustrated because the energies they just start flowing so fast, they spark and move like that. But for the positive, it can also help us to work through something without as many hiccups. So in this case, it's the sun in trine aspect with retrograding Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer asteroid, and it has an erratic path. It kind of moves in and out of the orbits between Saturn and Uranus. And Saturn is like the material realms. It's time, it's karma, it's responsibility, determination, dedication, commitments. Yeah, responsibilities. It's authority. And so when we wait for somebody to tell us what we're worth, or to tell us if we should be ashamed of something or not, there's no limit to what other people will dictate for us about our value, about our contribution, because if we're asking people that want to be our authority, it's never possibly going to be enough, right? But when we are an authority on a matter, like we've gotten some type of a degree, we've gotten some type of experience, or we've had some type of activation, something where we actually know something, that is when we're in our own authority. So that can be Saturn, and Uranus is somewhat the juxtaposition to that, the contrast. It's the revolutionary, the rebel, the detached element. So we've got commitment and then detachment on two ends of this. And so it's almost like wanting something and then retreating from it instead of reaching out for it. So who are we waiting for to be the authority that gives us the green light? Or are we ready to embrace that miracle opportunity coming our way? Yep, there's something definitely about, we have the miracle, some kind of miraculous element, some healing, some contribution within our own psyche or toolbox, I want to say, our skill set, that can be a huge contribution to a group or to a certain individual. And we're only dealing right now with the sense of previous wounding, previous fears or anxieties about the value of our contribution to something larger than ourselves here. And maybe you're closing your mouth and playing humble. And we have this block off your senses. And then we have over here the Sacral Chakra, the primal identity. So the sun in Leo is all about the personal identity versus the groupthink identity that you feel might be socially acceptable, and learning how to move through any sense of self-censorship and self-judgment and fear of being who you're here to become and express, because ultimately everyone else is taken, so who should we be like but the self? And that in trine aspect to the wounded healer, wherever your Chiron element, or wherever Chiron was at the time of your birth, is where it shows up in your chart, your birth chart. And that will give you your lifetime healing. For instance, mine is in Taurus, and so you'll see I'm a little bit more, I censor my words. I sometimes have throat anomalies that it's like cough, cough, or judging what I say, not having the right word at the right time, thinking, oh, there's a better word, or maybe I shouldn't have said that. There's this push and pull element of going in and then saying, oh, wait, maybe that wasn't right. But it's kind of saying, close your mouth here and blunt your sharpness, untie your knots, soften your glare, settle your dust. It's like when we're in the moment, walking with our wounds, afraid of the wounded nature being shown, then we are more careful. We're very intentional with our words or our actions or our demeanor, because we want to be seen in a certain way. And that's a little bit backwards, where if we are truly in ourselves, what difference does it make between yes and no, and between success and failures, and what other people think and what we think? How ridiculous. So there's something you're holding yourself back from unnecessarily, and the universe is saying as lovingly as possible, how ridiculous for you to think that you are not as important as the most idolized person you could think of. The first card popping out from the shamanic deck is Netcaster. Preparations come to fruition. So cast your net. You cannot receive something if you don't open your hand to hold it. You cannot ask for something, then turn your back and walk away from it and get that opportunity. If you don't put in for it, you can be pretty much guaranteed that you will not receive that opportunity unless people come tracking you down. And most of us don't have the reputation yet that those perfect opportunities would even know our face or our name and our skill set to be able to know that they wanted us for that opportunity. So by casting our net, we're aiming for the stars and able to catch the moon, perhaps. So yeah, what is it that you hope for? Don't play small. Don't put in for the lower opportunity unless you're willing to also put in for that really esteemed position or opportunity that you really want with the heart and soul. Because it's a time of miracles based on alignment and true capacity. And your true capacity is not based on your past. Most individuals don't slide into bad behavior or bad situations unless they're really fighting against some type of suffering. And the suffering is not the character. The suffering is, it's a human element that anybody with any level of sympathy and empathy for another individual can really perceive, that the people we're serving are in pain, you had pain, now you're in this place, you're perfect, right? Crown games, right use of power coming next. I feel this is towards the self. Certain individuals watching this may also identify with having other individuals that have gaslit, manipulated, and brought some sense of deeper self-shame. But I sense that this is our own use of power, our power to speak highly of ourselves. Like, don't tell everybody, well, this is what's wrong, and that stuff doesn't go on the resume, if you catch my drift. You don't say, oh, well, one time I had this one job and I showed up late, and this other time I did this. You're not going to tell somebody that in an interview. And why do that to yourself as well? Don't sit here and say, oh, well, I did this, this, and this wrong. Your ability to perceive that that was wrong and self-judge yourself says that you have the capacity to understand right from wrong. And so frame that differently even for yourself. It's not that I have done wrong, so therefore that is my character. It's when I did wrong, I saw that I did wrong, and even though it hurt and I felt ashamed and guilty of that transgression in my own mind, I committed on some level within myself to identify that as something that didn't feel good, and the urge was strong within me to move away from that, to move into something that felt better. But for many of us, there's also that patterning and self-defeating, self-sabotaging behavior or addictive behaviors, socialized, nurtured behaviors that interrupt and that catch us off guard. And so you can use that to say, oh, well, I'm not going to be better anyway, so therefore I'm going to continue to do these things that I know that are wrong, that make me feel bad. Or are you going to tell yourself, I understand that I am here to use my power to choose the right way. Like, let's even talk about insecurity and envy and jealousy, whether this is between friends, family, coworkers, bosses, between social groups. Like, this group seems to have all this money, born into money. They're so lucky they have these opportunities, where I have all these bad things. So instead of looking at all of those and saying, oh, well, I'm envious, others will never see me correctly, use that as fuel for change to say, yes, I can. I understand that I've been over here choosing to speak bad about myself, choosing this addiction or choosing this behavior, always showing up late. Why don't you become somebody who gets ready an hour early and then leaves 20 minutes early? It can be done. It really can. But by believing in your power, there's this triggering of empowerment. And I'm seeing that with the connection we have. Venus is moving into opposition with Pluto right now, too. It's a couple degrees away. It should be reaching very soon here over the next few days. And Venus is love, money, and self-image, our attraction, our magnetism. And being opposed to Pluto, Pluto is the god of the underworld, Hades, and power dynamics, and oppression and confinement, being trapped somewhere, held captive, captivated by something, and it can be illusion at this time. And this in opposition, Venus is in Cancer. It's a sign of the cardinal mother energy, that cardinal nurturer, somebody who goes out and seeks nurturing. But when we're in our addictive crown games, not using our power correctly, then we can have a very powerful urge to keep ourselves confined, to keep ourselves playing small and play out power dynamics with others. If we're not ready to harness our power and be in charge of our own path and say, well, I'm going to not do this right now, I'm going to do something productive instead. Every time that you choose that, you're choosing to build yourself that bridge that gets you out of your confinement and out into a better place. So working with the situation at hand realistically and believing in your power, this is the empowerment of Venus really facing down Pluto and saying, yeah, I have the power to change my own life. No one can keep me in this situation without my consent and my complicity. within reason, right? So next we have the cosmic womb, the divine feminine, nurturing our own sense of being able to start something and to move through. And when the dust settles in that Tao Te Ching, look at that dust devil. This is moving out of stagnation, is to me somebody who's been really caught up in the illusion of I could not, I can't, I'm not that guy, or like somebody who says, oh, I could never give a speech, or oh, I listen to this person, they know just what to say, they're just flowing, and I know as much, but I can't say as much. Well, it's when we can't get out of our head, when we speak low about ourselves and we say, oh, well, this person has what it takes, I don't. When we compare and we find ourselves and we convince ourselves that we're lacking, we are the ones that are creating that dusty cloud around us. Or when we allow other individuals to tell us those things about ourselves that are untrue, that's where that dust is kicked up in our face and we can't see through it. So moving out of stagnation, I feel like there's some opportunities coming to pass, and it feels like just a time in our life where things are lining up, challenges, triggers, or opportunities to show us who and what we're made of. Or just like in the tiniest comment, like I said, he lines up all these things about why he can't get this opportunity, and instead of saying, yeah, you're probably right, you probably shouldn't try, I said, wow, you should totally go for that opportunity. And I kind of felt him say, huh, really? Should I? You think I'm worthy? Because those things kind of pop up. He was looking for somebody else to be the authority over his life in that moment without even noticing. The next card, Woodwives, Adaptability. I feel like this is what is starting to be revealed behind that dust cloud. And I also wanted to say, too, that I see this within there. There's that, you can hardly probably perceive of it. At the center of that cloud, there's a face, and then there's that yellow, golden energy of the solar plexus right there. That is becoming our own authority to walk a path of our own choosing, and not one that's been dictated for us based on any type of people telling us, well, you've been this, so now therefore you can only be this, this, or that. It's like as the dust settles through calmness and in seeing a situation through, there's like this giving away process. Like this Woodwives is a tree that's becoming a human. It's, to me, talking about stagnancy again, having roots that go very deep but not being able to move from one station in life. But this being looks like some type of a wood nymph. There's something about the word nymph as well. Isn't that like a fairy that can be mischievous or very sensual or something like that? There's something there, like being, maybe somebody too likes to work with wood, carve wood, or likes those organic types of things, some type of inspiration coming through some type of a natural element or natural building block. And in the same way, your own life starting to take a different shape, being carved out by your experience in the past, making you sort of heavy. And there's a process here of liberating yourself from your roots, from maybe the early childhood experience or your material state in your early childhood home or something like this. Under the deck we have Soul Retrieval. Beautiful. So whether it was from the early experience or from wounding that happened since then, there seems to be an enormous amount of self-judgment, shame, and guilt, and these judgments take this enormous sense of, I am the Tao is me, I am the ocean in a drop, I am pure love, divine intention, and motivation, and something kinked up and created this guilt process, one judgment at a time, where every bit of yourself that you were taught or decided to judge became separate or put up on a shelf, like, this is the bad part of me, this is this part of me, and I'm going to put these over here, let them get dusty on this shelf, and I'm going to adapt to what the world wants to sculpt me into and what they tell me I can become, versus this cosmic womb is this place of nurturing. Maybe you're taking a vacation or a retreat in some way, or really taking some additional time to heal, to meditate, some type of sanctuary where there's, I feel the universe giving you time and space that will encapsulate you in a different way to work on you. Just, am I making sense? I'm seeing some type of situation closing in on somebody that feels like, oh, and I'm going like this right here under the camera here, and I looked down at this. It's like some kind of a situation seeming to fold in on top of the self, where maybe you had a lot of status, you're making decent money in some type of situation, or some type of social acceptance maybe, or the dream of that. And then this situation closing in on the self seems like in that environment there's an invitation to compromise the integrity, to use your power towards something that doesn't feel quite right. But in that moment of everything coming in, and you're really having this urge to follow those authority figures and to adapt to the situation, but ultimately I feel like there's an inability to do that, and that's how this right use of power starts to rebel against the institutionalized mindset, or like, if you want this job, you have to do this, and then saying, but I don't feel right about that. I was in their shoes, and my choice would be to do something else. I understand this from a different position. And this is where the universe is actually coming in as the divine authority to work with you, to move yourself out of this stagnant situation where others are giving you your script, so that you can carve your own destiny here. And so I see you seeking some type of clarity about why, the who's, what's, whys, and whens of why you don't feel good about doing that. And just as along the early life where you judged these different parts of yourselves and put them up on a shelf, it's almost like your entire energy field was this big, and as you diminished and detracted these things that were judged, that you felt ashamed and guilty about, you get smaller, you get closed in upon yourself, and then you're trying to appear in a certain way. But in so doing, that super compressed energy then has been working on you and your light, and you're able to retrieve these elements now by saying, no, now that I've seen this from this position, I can see this part of that and this part of that actually do belong to me. And moving out of stagnation and taking these new opportunities for empowerment feels like gaining a huge amount of self. No, I don't want that deck. gaining a huge amount of self-confidence and courage and confidence in your magic, confidence in your calling, and retrieving parts of yourself that you were judging and keeping hidden from others and feeling more comfortable. But it seems like this closing in upon yourself, ultimately the pressure ends up being an activation, this diamond code activation. And it seems like a separation from an energy that was keeping you cycling in those old energies, feeling like you were that person when the time for that has long since been past. Because preparations come to fruition here, I feel like everything that you've been working on in yourself, it is just time for you to cast your net a little bit further, higher, better associations and opportunities coming your way, seeking you out. And it's in response to your energetic glow up or something along those lines. So I've got the Kuan Yin and Kali deck in my hands here, two popping out. Interesting as usual. So under the deck we have Enter the Jade Temple, the number 11 card. I like this card a lot for this right now. Feels like Enter the Jade Temple is inviting you into your divine femininity, whether you are masculine or feminine or any type of a place in the spectrum between there. Entering the Jade Temple is that point of healing, and it can even be your bathroom if you've got a busy house and you just need 10 minutes to yourself, locking yourself in the bathroom, taking a shower, or just doing nothing in there and just having a place where people aren't supposed to be coming. And I don't know, but if you've got small children, we all know how that goes. They'll find you no matter where you hide. But in the symbolic form, it's entering into some place, whether it's your meditation practice, it can be a church or a group like that if that's your thing, or a spiritual group, but I'm sensing it's more of a solitary thing for you, or with just a very small amount of people that are necessary for this incubation period. That's the word that I've been wanting to use but couldn't find. It's a point of incubation where you are able to recognize your power and your healing potential in a new way, and to really work with those energies and put them on display and feel like your own authority in this matter, and unleashing those miraculous opportunities and having them bestowed upon you from the universe. I mean, if this is something that you would be perfect for, then you're perfect for it, no matter good, bad, or indifferent things coming into your mind about why you could justify not reaching for that. Two cards coming out. A Kali. Smashana. Masana. I cannot pronounce it, but it's a very aggressive looking depiction of her having severed the head of her enemy here. And I feel like it's the past self in some ways, or this past enemy if it was more someone else playing these power games. And I don't mean like you're destroying them or anything like that. It's simply saying you have no power over me. And then this Krishnu, this two-headed masculine being of two minds about something here. That's kind of what I mean. It's like having the confidence and also the doubt, and severing that sense of that's not who you are anymore, and there's no reason it's ridiculous to tell ourselves that that's who we are. So I'm kind of going back and forth which one I wanted to read to you guys first. I'm going to end the reading by just giving you guys a little synopsis of each one of these cards. This one where Kelly has severed the head here, it seems to me that she's really coming into her own authority, wisdom, and her own voice, blazing her own path. She's fired up, and there's these orange gems on her third eye and on her one of her weapons here, calling out that sacral chakra that we have. And what's under the sacral chakra? Root chakra and conception. So perhaps from birth and early, some would call it the Freudian time, right? At the beginning where you're learning about your authority and your ability and the rightness or wrongness of your ability to be curious and to reach out and have new experiences, or whether you get shamed and guilted for that. Like, oh, you're a bad child, don't do that, how could you, type stuff, and it sits in the energy, and we may never even realize or connect the dots that it came from that time of the life. She shines her blessings of divine deconstruction, the unlearning, clearing away that which undermines your confidence and inhibits your activity on your life path. Hallelujah, right? With the courage born of unconditional trust, you can accept her fierce intervention in your life with openness to the positive changes that shall emerge as a result. She is fierce. Her presence indicates radical divine intervention. It may at first be experienced as a shock in some form of upheaval. She dwells in the taboo lands of the cremation grounds. Hers is the teaching that divine timing must prevail, and sometimes certain involvements or circumstances must end. We cannot control the workings of destiny, but we can choose how we respond to the essential ending of a chapter in our lives. Yeah, it's as though someone has diminished or kept somebody small, or there's a conflict of integrity here being demanded or asked if we continue in this one path, versus then there's this epiphany consciousness moment where we're like, that's not who I am, that's not who I came here to be, and I can't keep doing that and not generate more self-judgment, more unconsciousness, more cloaking and veiling to justify moving in a direction that doesn't feel right. This can appear when we're in difficult times due to a loss of a loved one or the failure of something that we had counted on, or even a more subtle inner experience of an ending we cannot link to an external event. Her presence is an indication that life as you've known it will change radically. This can be a welcome release from difficult times and a prolonged cycle of suffering. Smashana is not quiet and subdued in the cremation grounds. She is wild and vital. She brings energy and aliveness to situations where there would otherwise be none. She brings about an end to stagnation that has been depleting your life of force and empowerment and creative urge and inspiration and self-belief, right? So I could keep reading this, but you get the point. And if you wanted to look that up, you can read the rest of that yourself. The rest of it, I promise, is just as amazing. She's definitely got an amazing Alana Fairchild. The Kali and the Kuan Yin books are both from her channelings. So this Krishna, the two-headed masculine here, this is an interesting depiction that has me kind of like that two minds. Let me just read this. There's a spiritual intelligence within your soul. Absolutely. It's the genius of becoming, of ripening from potential into glorious manifestation. Intimate communion with your own heart will reveal what is you truly, what it is you truly yearn for, and to set the process in motion for that yearning to be satisfied. Yes, that opportunity is seeking you. So you have to seek it in return, or there cannot be that mutual commitment and mutual synergy that wants to happen at the connection point. So cast that net. The holy fire is Kali, and she is within your soul. Follow your yearning, seek the light. Let yourself burn bright for what inspires you, and you shall see the path to fruition clearly before you. Believe in what is meant to be. Yes, the name Krishna translates as "you are fire." Agni is the two-headed deity of fire and potent symbol of supernatural power. On the physical level, fire generates light and heat to cook food, thereby representing both transformation and nourishment of the life force. The inner digestive fires that metabolize food and allow us to gain nutrients represents the inner nourishment of fire and symbolize the soul's need to digest our life experiences for spiritual growth. Fire can create purification for regeneration, such as that seen in a forest after it's simultaneously burns away old growth and stimulates new seeds. In that sense, it also is the power of ripening, of bringing something from an idea or a potential into fruition in fulfillment of innate purpose. On a spiritual level, fire attracts the soul, helping it find its way through darkness towards warmth and light. The life-enhancing and alchemical properties of fire transforms physical materials as well as the subtle body of the soul. The appearance of Krishna in a reading indicates the tremendous potential for personal transformation and spiritual growth. You may feel like you are struggling, but your soul is actually gaining strength. What you desire may seem so far beyond your current reach, yet the oracle indicates your inner potential for tremendous accomplishment. I'm telling you, this is all very clear that you have what it takes, and that standing in your way is only the veil of illusion that you've helped to keep it in its place based on fear, shame, and guilt that are ready to be purified through this divine inner fire that is the soul coming full circle for you. Kuan Yin in her temple of peaceful jade causes all conflict to elevate to higher peaceful resolution. A resolution and healing of any situation that's concerning you is already underway. In fact, you're being asked to begin to feel the relief of that resolution now, so that you can more readily receive the divine solution and blessing of peace from the beloved Kuan Yin when it arises. There are moments on the path where conflict arises and struggles emerge. These conflicts may be within us or appear to be in an external relationship or situation. This can be part of the experience of life on the physical plane that actually helps us to raise our vibration, to find unity, and yet still honor our individuality. There is a spiritual light within, a light of peace that can be brought to bear on any situation or struggle, an energy of peace that can transform even the deepest conflict through blessings of the divine goddess, priestess of the Jade Temple, Kuan Yin. This doesn't mean avoiding conflict or pretending that struggle doesn't exist. Peace is the light that flows when we're able to step above the illusions of separation, competition, and conflict to seek out the consciousness where we are all, in fact, one divine love, and we are all serving the path of light in our own unique ways together. Synergy. The energy of such a high level of genuine consciousness is transformative. It allows us to surrender judgment and to release any need to prove ourselves or our worth to another. Instead, we can just live our lives and allow others to do the same with more peace in our hearts. Conflict becomes an opportunity to grow more in inner peace and loving acceptance of all paths, to learn detachment and to trust. So you're being gifted with some type of struggle or conflict energy here within, where you're being given an opportunity to choose at a crossroads the pathway of acceptance and compromised integrity, or to stand up for what you believe in. And when you stand up for your individuality or for your inner authority and what you believe on a soul level to be very important to your integrity and what you're here to do, this is saying, I no longer want to judge and break away pieces of myself. I want to say, I am all of this and more. I understand my authority and intuition in this way. And so I am wishing you guys all so much love on your journey. It looks like you need to put in for some type of great opportunity that is coming your way. And I wish you all the luck in your healing and in your new opportunity quest. Take care, and we'll see you again tomorrow.